Today Wayne and I are going to be doing a battle report of two of the lists from the book Nuts. I'm using the Paratroopers Rifle Company, and Wayne's going to be playing the Volksgrenadiers.
The new book Nuts is about the Battle of Bastogne, but it also covers the Nordwind operation the Germans conducted just a little bit after they started the Ardennes offensive. And that's the first time they used the Jagdtiger. Our battle is more a kind of representative battle of what's in the book rather than a kind of historical fight, because the airborne guys probably never ran into any Jagdtigers, but we thought we'd take a Volksgrenadier force that probably fought in Nordwind and take it against a Bastogne airborne force, just to show off some of the cool things that are inside the book.
It should be a fun game. The table looks good. I'll be defending the end with the town, so hopefully that should come in handy.
There's a big hill as well, which may play a part as far as blocking line of sight from either side of the battlefield, so it should make for a good game. Well, I'm taking a Volksgrenadier Company. I went for the Confident Veteran option. It consists of a company HQ, and I've added a couple of Panzerschreck teams to it so I can hand them out to my troops. I'm also taking a Volksgrenadier Sturm platoon. That's the guys with the assault rifles. They can move and shoot to the rate of fire 3, quite effective. And the other platoon to back them up is a Volksgrenadier Schützen platoon. These are the guys, rifle MG teams. They are like the support fire platoon. Backing them up further, I've got a Volks infantry gun platoon with Pack 50s, which is a cut down Pack 40 that is designed just as an infantry support weapon. Also, I've taken some actual Pack 40s as well. I've taken 3 Hetzers as my armoured support and backing it up with a Jagdtiger. And also we've got some sporadic air support with the brand new Me-262 jet fighters, so fighter bombers. So that's a total of about 1,600 points we've gone for this game.
So I'm playing the Parachute Rifle Company. I've got a company HQ with SMG teams, and Carwood Lipton as my 2IC, and Winters as an extra command team. I've got 2 parachute rifle platoons with Toccoa sergeants, which will help them unpin if necessary. A machine gun platoon with 1 MG section, and in support I've got a glider field artillery battery with 6 105mm howitzers, and a tank destroyer platoon with 4 Hellcats, M18s, and some anti-aircraft half-tracks. I'm not very tactical, so I'm not very good at coming up with good game plans, so I like it when I'm defending because it lets me play a bit more reactively. I'm going to put a rifle platoon defending each of the objectives, and I will have my machine gun platoon in ambush to hopefully give Wayne a bit of a surprise when that's useful. And in reserve I'll have my tank destroyers, my AA half-tracks, and my artillery. I'll bring on the tank destroyers first to try and deal with Wayne's armour, particularly his Jagdtiger, which is pretty frightening, and then my AA half-tracks will hopefully help deal with his infantry.
So my plan is to use the high firepower of my troops to get forward, get into the village, use the short range caused by the buildings, get amongst his troops, and then assault, hopefully. Clear them out of the village and then move on to whatever the nearest objective to the village is. I'll use my tanks, I'll use my assault guns and my big Jagdtiger to provide extra firepower and to knock out his tank. And the final thing, I'll probably use my anti-tank guns just as a bit of infantry support, and maybe if the Hellcats make it past my other tanks to knock them out with the Pack 40s.
I've got 1 rifle platoon protecting each objective, and my machine guns in ambush, ready to hopefully pop out in one of the buildings and get some fire into his infantry as soon as they get close enough. My first turn, because I've got nothing on the table, hopefully for my first turn I'll get a reserve on, but if I don't, I'll basically just be sitting tight for my first turn, waiting for him to get closer.
Because we'd put our objectives on either flank of the table, I thought I'll try and concentrate on one objective. I thought the buildings, even though that objective is a bit further back, would give me better cover to try and take it. He's got 1 platoon in the buildings we have to deal with, and probably the machine guns will pop up there, so it all depends how things go. I've got my little infantry guns who I can roll up and they can shoot at anything in the building and do a bit of damage. I also got the Jagdtiger and the Hetzers there can do the same thing, as well as normal rifle and assault rifle fire. So hopefully it should go well.
So we're all deployed, everything's on the table, and we're ready to start Wayne's turn 1. He's got a lot of stuff. Maybe he's about to take me to school, I don't know. With all that infantry, I'm really wishing I had my artillery on the table already, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, I was following with my plan. I moved all my infantry and my tanks and everything forward, and trying to get as close to the town as possible. I held my aircraft off at the beginning of the turn because I wanted to I've only got sporadic, so I only got 3 dice, so I wanted to save them for when I've got more targets to shoot at, so I'll try using them next turn. And I didn't really have any shooting after that. I had 1 shot at some guys in the building, I didn't really do anything to them, so... We'll have 1 lucky hits a shot, shall we?
Okay.
Needing a 6 to hit him. Missed. No. I was lucky enough to make all my Stormtrooper moves, so I got extra moves there. 4, they're veterans, so they need a 3 or better. Oh, yep, the other infantry. 3, just. Pretty good rolling, really. Next turn, I'm going to try and get my Volksgrenadier Stern platoon into the buildings, move up my guns and assault guns to give firing support to them.
So all of Wayne's stuff was up pretty close and personal already. I wanted to ambush my machine gun platoon in one of the buildings, but Wayne's hetzers were so close that my guys could only fit right at the back of the building, so 2 of the teams had to start on the outside and all had to move into the building, so they only got to shoot at half rate of fire at Wayne's platoon. So we shot at them and were able to knock out one of his Panzerschreck teams. Everyone else just went to ground this turn because they had no one to shoot at. Hopefully I'll get to bring on some reserves next turn. If so, I'll bring on my M18s and start putting some fire into Wayne's hetzers.
So turn 1, not a lot happened. I moved forward trying to get closer to the enemy. So in this turn I'm going to bring my aircraft in and shoot some of the paratroopers who are exposed on the hill. I get 1 plane. I started off the turn by I brought my aircraft in and I targeted the paratroopers on the hill. I moved on to moving my troops forward. They were still probably a move and a bit away from the buildings, so I moved them forward. I got 1 team up to a building, but he failed to make a skill check. Then I moved my other platoon up to where James had ambushed his machine gun platoon. I was going to see if I could take them on. Also, I just left my vehicles stationary so they could shoot up James's machine gun platoon. Right, so in the shooting step, I fired my hetzers and my Jagdtiger. 2 6s again! At the machine gun platoon. I managed to pepper them quite well and knock a few teams out. Is anybody left in the top floor?
No.
No. Then I actually did my aircraft shooting, which they landed on the other paratroop platoon that was sitting on the large hill
1 hit
by the objective. I ranged in on them and hit them, but I didn't actually do anything more than just pin them down, so I didn't destroy any teams.
That bomb was a dud.
For my final part of the turn, I did a Stormtrooper move in the assault step, which I then promptly failed to move my Volksgrenadier Storm platoon. They stayed stationary, so didn't even try and enter the building, and that was pretty much it for my turn.
Turn 2, I rolled 1 reserve and I brought on my tank destroyers. I didn't see any benefit to using the security section and I didn't want to wait another turn before firing, so I brought them on directly. I moved them up the road and they got 1 long range shot on the hetzers and managed to kill 1. The 1 surviving gun in the MG platoon fired on Wayne's Schützen and killed 1 team. With the hetzers and the Jagdtiger so close, I kept my rifle platoon in the buildings gone to ground just to keep those 6s to hit. It was a pretty quick turn for me.
At the beginning of turn 3, I brought my aircraft in. I decided to target the Hellcats that arrived in James' turn. So his tank destroyers had come down the road and heading towards the villages of the 2 supporters, paratroopers. In my movement step, I finally moved my Stern platoon into the buildings. This is across the road from where James is positioned his paratroop platoon. There's snow all over the carpet. So I'm probably going to get into a bit of a firefight and an assault. On the next to the storm guys, I bring my Schultzen platoon forward, and they come in behind the Hetzers and the Jagdtigers.
3 hits on them from the infantry.
In the shooting step, I fire my Jagdtiger and my Hetzers on the machine gun platoon that James has set up in the building. I actually got quite successful, and I kill all teams except one. So James is left with just one team.
Another hit with the machine gun.
Okay, one more save. No.
So the storm platoon don't fire, but I fire my infantry guns at the paratroopers on the hill. They drop a barrage on them. 1 hit.
Okay.
Oh.
No.
Nope.
No, so they're alright.
So-
But they're pinned, aren't they?
Yes. So hit him.
Sweet.
My aircraft attack the tank destroyer platoon and kill a Hellcat and bail out another one. Yep. Yeah, just And in the assault step, I do stormtrooper moves and move my storm guys, the rest of the storm guys who didn't quite make it into the buildings, and I start moving my Schultzen platoon closer to the buildings as well.
So 3 dice for reserves, and I only get 1. Turn 3, I rolled 1 more reserve, which I would have got automatically anyway, so 2 would have been better. I brought on my artillery, and they'll start firing bombardments next turn. I rolled to unpin the platoon on the hill, which was pinned last turn by Wayne's aircraft. The last surviving MG team failed its morale test, and he took off out of there, so that's a shame. That's that platoon gone.
Yay!
And I moved my M18s up to fire between the buildings at Wayne's Schützen platoon. 3 shots, needing 5s to hit. 1 hit. I managed to hit 1, but he made his save.
3 saves.
Okay. So that turn was even shorter than last turn. So, but you know, fast game's a good game.
Nope, no aircraft.
In turn 4, it was time to press my attack. I moved my Sturm platoon out of the buildings towards where James had positioned his paratroop platoon across the street, so they move out of the buildings and into the street, and then get ready to storm the building. I also moved my Schützen platoon into the other buildings. James had lost his machine gun platoon by failing his last man standing test, so I moved into that building and take command of that. I also moved my Hetzers to have a go at the newly arrived Hellcats from the tank destroyer platoon. So just force. Do it! 3 or better to kill them.
Okay. So
One's dead and one's bailed
bailed.
out. Okay. In the shooting step, I fired my Hetzers at the Hellcats. The Hetzers, they managed to destroy a M18 and also bail another one out. And I also fired my Stern platoon at the paratroopers in the building. Not going too well so far. But I got Schultzen yet, so. Ah, that's better. Pinned. So that's from the assault rifles. There's 6 shots from the assault rifles hit you. The Stone platoon managed to pin down the paratroopers, but don't kill any teams.
4 in this building here.
Yep.
2 fails.
2 fails. I need 6s to kill them. Nope.
Nope, so they're fine.
In the assault step, I attack the building with the paratroopers in it. The paratroopers then defensive fired and got 6 hits, which was enough to pin me. This threw me back, and I retreated back into the buildings I'd come from. Unfortunately, of the 6 hits, I managed to fail 4 of the infantry saves, and it killed 4 teams.
Fail. 3 fail. 4 fail. Pass. You killed 4 teams.
That was unlucky saves.
So it was pretty unlucky, and my storm platoon was now pushed under half strength.
So that was some awesome rolling there.
Yeah, I know.
Followed
I
by
was just
some completely rolling.
Because they were under half strength, I had to make a platoon morale check, which they then passed, luckily, with a bit of aid from the company commander.
Wow, that was crap. And that's it for me, I think.
Turn 4. Well, Wayne's turn 4 went well for me in some ways. I managed to beat back his assault, but I did lose another M18, so I'll miss that. I brought on my last reserve, the AA half-tracks. Then I managed to remount the M18 that was bailed by Wayne's shooting last turn. Yes, 6. And I also unpinned the rifle platoon in the buildings. I failed at first, but I got a re-roll thanks to the Toccoa sergeant. I moved the half-tracks up the road, and I moved the M18s to get concealed shots at Wayne's hetzers. The M18s hit one hetzer, but only managed to bail it. So that's a shame.
Third attempt.
Yes. My artillery finally managed to range in on the third attempt. Now that meant I would need 5s to hit. And there were 7 teams under the template, and I managed to hit absolutely nothing, even with a re-roll for having 6 guns. I couldn't have rolled worse if I'd tried. So Wayne's shoots and platoon is still unpinned, and I reckon he'll have another go at assaulting next turn.
That makes up for my crap rolls.
No.
In turn 5, I moved my Schultzen out of the buildings so they could assault the paratroop platoon in the buildings. I also moved my hetzers around so they could fire at the tank destroyers, the M18s. I'd already killed one. I was hoping that I could kill another 1 or 2 M18s in the breakers unit. In the shooting step, I fired my hetzers at the Hellcats, and once again I destroyed one and bailed one out. This forced James to take a platoon morale check, which he failed. So he decided to add his company commander in, who then also failed. So he ran off with the M18s. So I've just destroyed a unit, which is quite good. So I've destroyed 2 units so far. I also shot the Schultzen and Sturm platoons at the paratroopers to pin them down and prepare them for the assault for them with the Schultzen.
1 fail.
With the paratroopers successfully pinned down in the shooting step, I then assaulted them with the Schütze platoon.
Oh, terrible. So that's 2.
2?
So the assault is going to go ahead.
Yeah. This time I managed to make it through the hail of fire and made contact with them. We then had a short, sharp and bloody fight, which I eventually fell back from after failing a motivation check. Killed 2 more teams in that building.
Counter-attack. Yes, just this building here. One dead. 2 dead. Yeah.
Do both of them. Right, we'll try and fight back. Company commander will join in. Yay! Those 2. Kill them both. So I'm trying to kill your Toccoa sergeant. Nope, he's not dead.
Assaults get bloody, don't they? So,
you
3
killed.
dead.
You're running low on guys there. I lost all of my teams except one, who retreated across the road and cowered in the building. I still had my company commander and my 2IC there to help boost morale.
Look around. No. Have to re-roll from Lipton. Yes.
Despite losing a lot of teams in that fight, I did inflict heavy casualties on the American paratroopers, so I might be able to redirect my storm platoon back into the fight next turn.
Turn 5. So my M18s are gone, and I've lost my company commander as well. Fortunately, I've still got my 2IC on the table to take any company morale checks that I might have to take. That was a really bloody assault. We both lost 6 teams each, and I'm really glad Wayne fell back when he did, because I'm pretty sure he might have just finished me off if he'd had one more round of assaulting. So my rifle platoon in the buildings are only just hanging in there by the skin of their teeth. They failed the morale check for being under half strength, but passed thanks to the re-roll from Lipton. I unpinned them. Again, I needed the Toccoa sergeant's special rule to re-roll that roll to unpin. That's a very handy rule, that. I'm going to move Lipton up to that building. I moved my AA half-tracks up the road to shoot at Wayne's infantry in the buildings. I'm exposing them to fire from the hetzers, but I think it's worth it because that Stern platoon is down to a couple of teams, so I might be able to finish it off, and if I'm lucky I might also get rid of his company commander. My artillery completely failed to range in, so they're looking to be the least valuable platoon so far. Really not worth their points. Third attempt. No.
No.
Oh well. My shooting with the half tracks was disappointing. I only managed to hit 2 teams and they both saved.
Bottom 4.
Hitting fives.
Hitting 5s. Oh.
So pretty disappointing turn really, no damage.
Well, that once again hadn't gone as well as I thought in turn 5. But luckily, in turn 6 I managed to get my aircraft back after an absence of a couple of turns. This time I rolled quite well and they had 3 aircraft. I decided to position them on James's newly arrived artillery. My Schultzen platoon passed its last man standing morale check. They only had the 1 team left. That was quite lucky, so that means I haven't actually lost the platoon yet. I was determined to remove those paratroopers from the building, so I moved my storm platoon back out of the buildings and into the street to assault. With the Hellcats gone, my Hetzers were available to help support this attack. In the shooting step, I fired the stern platoon, the surviving Schultzen team, as well as my Jagdtiger at the paratroop platoon. The plan was to pin them down. They managed to do that, luckily.
There we go. 5 exactly. Again. Right, now I've got 4 shots from the Hetzers at your half tracks.
The other shooting I had was against the AA platoon that had just recently arrived from reserve. I fired 4 Hetzer shots from my 2 remaining Hetzers at them and managed to hit them all and destroy them all. So I wiped out another platoon.
They're all dead. Great.
My aircraft also arrived and bombed the artillery and killed 2 teams. In the assault step, I assaulted the Paras with my stern platoon. This was a lot more successful. I broke into the building and they fought their way up the stairs and managed to kill all of James's teams.
2 hits out of 3. Both dead.
So I now had James's company in a position where he had to take a company morale check. But he has warrior team, Winters, so therefore he got to re-roll it. So you'd have to have some pretty unlucky dice to roll a 1 or a 2 twice.
Turn 6. Wayne's turn went really well for him. I'm below half strength, but I'm not too worried. I've got my 2 IC on the table, so he's going to roll for the company morale. I only need to roll over a 2, so my odds are pretty good. And Winter's special rule, I get to re-roll my first failure, so the odds are definitely in my favour, but let's get the roll out of the way.
Anything but a 1 or a 2. Oh, come on. 3 or better.
Oh!
I can't believe I rolled 2 2s. I think the correct expression is nuts.
Oh, it's a great game.
Well done, well played. So
Wow.
what's that? That's a 6-1 to you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, technically it's a 6-1, but it was so close to being a much closer game.
True.
One of my platoons had 1 team, remember?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the other-
I'll remember.
And the other one was quite low as well, so it could have easily been a 4-3 or a 3-4, depending on how things are going.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. There was plenty of good and bad luck on both sides, I think.
Yeah, it was there was some weird rolls there.
Yeah, especially that turn 4 when I think we rolled more 1s and 2s than any game in history.
Yes, infantry saves.
Also rolls to hit with artillery.
Oh yes, that artillery was pretty anemic.
Yeah.
So how did you enjoy your first game with a force from nuts?
I really liked it. I think it's a really interesting book,
Yeah.
both in terms of the history and the rules. Easy Company are a lot of fun.
Yes.
It's going to be a popular book, so I hope that a lot of the players out there can play them a little bit more expertly than I did.
And there's a few more warriors to choose from as well, other than the ones we use in this game. So yeah,
Yep,
be
a lot of variety.
interesting to see how those go in the future.
Yeah, great book. Well done.
Mm.